Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Thomas Trombley. I'm with the Windows Servicing and Delivery team. If everyone could quickly take their seats, we've got 197 slides to get through. Just kidding. As this is a big week of announcements, what's that?
You cut my slides.
Oh, yeah, I trimmed John's slides. As this is a big week of announcements here for Microsoft, and this being the birthplace of boy bands like Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, I want to introduce this new band that we're going to have here today on servicing and deployment.
Oh, no.
They're each going to take a minute and sing a few lines for us. You ready, Bruno?
Yeah, always ready.
All right, I'm going to ask each of these folks to stand up and give a brief introduction. I work with them on a daily basis, but I want them to kind of share what their level of expertise is, where they tend to focus on servicing and deployment of Windows 10. And then once we're done with introductions, there are mics right there and right there. We really don't have 197 slides, but we would like you to come up and ask 197 different questions. So we'll open the floor to you guys. So we'll start with Bruno.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bruno Novak. I'm a product manager in the Microsoft 365 marketing team. My focus is modern desktop, all things deployment, servicing, analytics, modern management, etc.
Thank you. Amy.
I am Amy. I am the captain of America at 2 Point Software. So I don't work for Microsoft. I'm an independent opinion on the stage. My expertise is Twitter. So if you guys have any Twitter questions, if you're in the audience, or if you're watching by live stream, I'll be monitoring that stream. But I do also focus on Windows 10 deployment and management via Config Manager and Intune.
Thank you, Amy. Suba?
Hi, I'm Suma Saganegowda. I'm a group program manager on the Windows deployment team. I own the deployment stack and the technology to do all of the feature updates and the quality updates.
All right. John?
John Wilcox. I'm the WAS evangelist with the Windows Servicing and Delivery team and one of the co-authors of WAS. I've been spending my time working with customers who deployed Windows 10 largely on the change management process that comes with the transformation.
Great. And some of you may know Michael. Michael?
Mike Niehaus. I am a program manager on the Windows Autopilot team and a recovering marketing person.
And we had a late addition. If some of you attended the delivery optimization session, which I thought was highly informative, we asked Narkis to join us, and she's going to do the handheld. Here you go.
They just ran out of the cool mics. So my name is Narkis Sangler. I'm a product manager, and I am the product owner, the proud product owner of delivery optimization. And our team is really thinking about how to reduce internet bandwidth consumption as you shift to modern workplace.
Awesome, thank you. So before I start asking normal questions like Windows 10 has all the momentum of a juggernaut, to what do you attribute your success? Who has questions? Please, step forward, come to the mic. Sir.
Good morning. My question is, do you guys have any real-world strategies that help you to enable content pre-caching to systems who are going to take a 7 to 10 upgrade for field users without opening the gate for your laptops that go home at night so that everybody is downloading their WIM file and everything when we're paying for it, whereas if they just came in the next morning, they could get it for free on the local area network or the Wi-Fi?
So you're wanting to pre-cache content for users who are remote.
Right, but they're going to get it over the CMG when they don't have network access. But if somebody who's in the office takes their laptop home and has the same deployment, they're going to start downloading it over the CMG as well because the DP isn't available. I really don't want to have to pay for all those people where if they just came in the next morning, they would start to download the content on the Wi-Fi or the core for free.
Are there any MVPs in the room who have written a blog post about that? I know I've seen a few MVP blog posts about pre-caching for task sequences. No, no one. There are MVP resources for that, as far as outside of Microsoft, that I can point you towards if you just want to look in the tech community.
I suppose the simple answer is just don't put the content on a cloud DP.
Yep.
But then the dedicated field people can't get it.
So some people want to get it, some people don't want to get it. Yeah, that gets to be a little bit more challenging.
All right, who else has a question? It's open forum. This is your chance. Sir.
Do you have a roadmap for how long MDT is going to be supported?
Forever.
And that concludes our session. Thank you. Next question, sir.
Yeah, sure. How about a roadmap for updates, right? Servicing stack, cumulative updates, feature updates, and maybe some insight into why some of the updates would have like follow-on registry keys that we'd have to install after the updates are installed, things like that.
So the bunch of things in the question there. The roadmap for the updates. There'll be one next Tuesday, or second Tuesday of each month. There'll be a feature update roughly every March and September going out forward. So update cadence monthly for quality updates. That will continue. Feature updates every 6 months. That will continue. We announced on the 6th that we will extend servicing for enterprise SKU, education SKU with the September releases for 30 months. But we still continue to ship a feature update every 6 months. To the question in terms of why do some have registry options or registry settings, there are many cases where, depending upon specifics in your environment, we put those in to give you the ability in terms of configuring certain things. An example would be when Spectre Meltdown came out, depending upon if you had third-party security products that were incompatible, that would block or compete with the fix from Intel or AMD, either you could not install the security fix, or you could install and potentially have a conflict on your machine. So we had to put settings in which allow you to disable that patch from us until you got an update from your AV provider. And since I had no idea what your AV provider was or when they were going to be compatible, we put that in, allows you to disable it until you get your AV and you can turn it back on. So we make them rare, particularly in terms of quality updates, but we put them in for reasons where we know there's going to be an issue that you need to manage.
Is there any plan to combine the servicing stack updates with the cumulative updates?
The question was, is there a plan to combine the servicing stack updates with the cumulative updates?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we actually already kind of incorporate that into the cumulative updates as well. So when you do get it, it is available on DU, and we do kind of ensure that you can get those updates. And we do recommend you take them because that actually, we do make some fixes into the servicing stack with that, and those are critical fixes. So those are something that we do recommend you take as part of the update process, so the whole update experience is better.
Going to interrupt with a question from Twitter. When will Microsoft stop installing bloatware like Candy Crush on an enterprise operating system? And I will answer that first with a non-Microsoft answer. There are MVP resources for that. Steve Owen, Fox Deploy, has a really great task sequence that can pull that stuff out for you until Microsoft gives an answer for that, and I will defer.
Michael loves answering questions. So
yeah,
we'll let
so
Michael answer.
for the next hour and 6 minutes, let's talk about apps. Start with a little bit of positioning. We have two types of applications. There are apps that are pushed when you first install. There are apps that are pre-installed in the Windows OS. The apps that are pushed will, there's a policy to turn that off for enterprise and education SKUs. The disable consumer experiences policy, I recommend you set that on all your machines because that'll prevent those apps from being installed. If you're running Pro, that policy isn't available. So you will get apps on those. On the Pro SKU, as long as it is joined to Active Directory or Azure AD, those apps will only be first party. So we'll only push first party productivity apps down to the machine. That's a change that we made about a month ago. Prior to that, there were some third party apps included in that list that were of questionable value. I mean, the intent was to push productivity apps, but the last time I checked, Pandora wasn't a productivity app.
Neither is Xbox.
Well,
Now, don't cross the streams. We're still talking about apps that are pushed when you sign in. Xbox is not an app that gets pushed when you sign in. Don't get me irritated when we're talking about apps. So
Keep it real here, folks. Keep it real. All right.
So you can't turn off the apps on Pro. They will get pushed down, but they'll only be first-party apps now. And the apps that are pushed are much more reasonable. That said, we're still having conversations around how many of those there should be, what SKUs they should even be on in the first place, so that there are a set of conversations going on for the next Windows release to say, how can we reduce that? The expectation is we'll never try to push apps to enterprise and education. That will just shrink the start menu down and keep it nice and simple and plain so it's ready to go out of the box. For the Pro SKU, there might be a few, but they'll still be productivity focused. For Home SKU, then, hey, Candy Crush is fine.
Going to be there.
We'll push it there. So that's what's going on for the apps that are pushed. For the apps that are in box, obviously we know Xbox is an issue. We're looking at all the in-box apps for a variety of purposes. One, applicability. I mean, the Xbox app isn't really needed by enterprises, so can we get rid of that? The second area is performance and network impact. The other challenge of having those apps in box is that they have to get updated, and they get updated whether you're using them or not. So we're looking at scenarios to defer the installation. We're looking at scenarios to get rid of them in box altogether, because, hey, you can get them from the store if you really want them. And we're looking at ways to defer the upgrading. Like if you never launch an app, we don't really need to patch it every month if you're not using it. So wait until you try to launch it for the first time before it's even registered on the system. So lots of moving parts to try to figure out how to make that story better. Certainly we know that we want to do a whole lot less pushing of apps to the devices. We want to do a lot less updating of those applications. We want them to impact your first logon experience a whole lot less so that you can get to the desktop faster. Plenty of work going on with a bunch of teams. The last meeting we got together to try to discuss all of these things, there were something like 75 people on the meeting debating all these things. So we certainly take it seriously and are really pushing to try to address those issues.
And if I may add, for these updates that are still occurring, if you want to make sure there's no impact on your internet bandwidth, please look at delivery optimization. That's your way to reduce that bandwidth consumption right now, until Michael fixes the rest.
Great. Thank you. Next question over here.
Yeah, the user experience on the task-based deployment of Windows 10 has a unwarned reboot that we'd really like to get rid of, because we can have the users continue working while the bits are coming down, but then all of a sudden in the middle of the job they're working on, there's an unwarned reboot. Is there any way to add that in? It would help us considerably using the task sequence-based deployment of Windows 10 updates.
Yeah, and I think Suma probably talked a little bit about that in the session, but...
Yeah, I can kind of add some color, and probably Nihas can add a little more kind of details from the task sequence aspect of it. So we have actually done a ton of improvements in how we kind of do updates and reducing the offline time. So we actually do the work to kind of stage the updates and then actually let you know when the reboot is occurring. So you can actually do the reboot separately, so you can get the benefit of those offline time improvements that we've done. We are actively working on more improvements to have this better hooked-in config manager, but for now, I think if you use the task sequence also, you can know that when the download and the staging has occurred, and then kind of do the setup/no reboot option, so you won't get that warning, you won't do the reboot, and you can actually do it after the fact.
Yeah, the basic problem is one of user experience, that if you were to do a feature update installation via Windows Update, you get exactly the behavior that you want. That the bits are downloaded to the machine, the offline section, or the background section of the upgrade happens to get the machine all the way up to the point of that reboot, and then notifies you that, hey, you need to reboot to finish this process. Perfect, because it minimizes that unavailable time, that reboot until you can get signed back in and use the device. That time keeps getting shorter and shorter and shorter, and eventually will just disappear to the point where within a minute or so, you can reboot your machine and be up and running with the new version of the OS. That's the vision.
Yeah.
the
We've-
challenge
we've
is
actually-
We're not in the
there
minute
yet.
today.
Yeah.
We'll get
So we've
there.
actually reduced it from about
Slowly.
82 minutes to under 30 minutes already. And if you're using some of the newer hardware and if you don't have as many co-installers, we actually see machines in the wild which reboot and update in less than 10 minutes. So we are actually seeing this in all of the updates that we have done with the consumer rollouts we have seen. And so that it is a reality, and we're actively working to reduce that down further, but it's in the order of less than 10 minutes now for some of the newer hardware.
And if
The
you can't
problem
do-
then is when you use a config manager task sequence,
Yeah.
as soon as the first step of that task sequence starts, it pops up a dialog right in the middle of the screen saying we're doing something to your machine, and at that point the user's saying, I'm done, I'm not touching this machine, I don't know what's going on. So the reboot really is the least of your problem, that they're not going to want to do anything on that machine once that activity starts until it finishes. And the total duration of all of that, with all of the prep work that happens to download the content and then kick off setup and get to the point of that first upgrade, of the first reboot, all of that time is then not usable. The machine can't be used during that. So I think it would be worthwhile to spend more time trying to get that task sequence approach moved to more of the Windows Update style. Or if you can't do that, at least get it so that it's doing much more in the background, quietly, where the user can continue to work on the device up until the point of that reboot, and then notify them that, hey, we'd like to reboot when you get a chance, and it's going to take X number of minutes to complete that process. And if you'd like Config Manager to do that automatically, please submit feedback through user voice to request that feature.
Yeah, and we do hear that feedback, and that's kind of the next thing we want to go tackle and help that integration be better. But for now, yeah, if you use the Woo-based flow, you get it automatically, and we're working to make the experience even with task sequence better.
Yeah, and to add to your point about performance improvements, we're seeing in the wild even bare metal deployments. For those customers who can't do in-place upgrade for whatever reason, even the bare metal deployments, the timeline is shortening between when there's nothing on this PC and now I have something to give to an end user.
All right, let's get to our next question. Gentlemen.
Yes, hi. I have kind of a twofold question, both about apps. The first one has to do with App Locker. We are upgrading our current Windows 10 version. We're on 1607. We're going to go to 1803. So right now it's in a pilot, and we're having some testing done. Because of some of the apps, you know, we have removed most of the bloatware and cleared a lot of those out, but there's still some that, after certain updates, we see they somehow come back. We were trying to implement App Locker to kind of at least disable some of these apps so that users can execute them or open them. What we've noticed, though, is that in our testing environment, we set up App Locker to deny certain apps, and that worked fine. But after upgrading our device from 1607 to 1803, some apps came back, and for some reason, it's like App Locker is no longer communicating with those apps, even though they're set to deny. The user can open it. Some apps will allow, and it's still on deny, unless we clear out the registry keys and unjoin the domain and clear out group policies and bring it back to domain. That's been so far the only way that we've been able to bring everything back to square one. I don't know if anyone else knows about any issues with App Locker.
Open a support case. That shouldn't happen, obviously.
Okay, well, I've seen this on 1607 too, so I thought maybe with 1803, you know, they worked on it more.
Yeah, I know specifics. The update technology that you use is the base OS of the update. So you're at 1607, even though you're moving to 1803. And coming back to our previous thing, part of the reason you're frustrated, and we've solved this problem, we've gotten much better, is you could configure to take apps off back then, and we thought you made a mistake and we didn't respect those, and so when we did the update, we put them right back, which probably made you very, very annoyed. In 1703 and 1709, we addressed that, so when you take an app away, yes, you still had to configure to take an app away. We respect that, we don't put that back.
Okay.
So this might be some flavor of that that's occurring. We don't know, which is why we need to look into it.
Just curious, why are you using App Locker to block those apps in the first place?
Because
rather than just removing them?
Removing it, yeah.
well, we removed Xbox for one in the very beginning when we did our first deployment of Windows 10. Somehow, we don't know how, but after deployment, after several patches, people started seeing it back on their device. So we don't know how, but so our executives say, well, we don't want to see this, and we said, well, we can try to remove it again, but we don't know if it's going to come back. So we thought maybe with App Locker we can at least disable some of these things so people can't log in and try to use these apps. And we figure App Locker is there as a feature from Windows, why not use it?
Yep.
So anyway, my second one is, another thing also with the upgrade is certain apps that we do want, some built-in apps like Calculator and sticky notes and things like that. Even Edge, at certain points, we've seen that after the upgrade, these apps, they kind of go into some limbo where we have to go back and re-register them again. And I don't know if, what causes that, but we've seen it a few times.
Generally the issues that I've seen like that are related to the user profile, because the apps are registered as part of the user profile. So if the profile gets corrupted, the apps won't launch. The re-registration trick works in some cases. Deleting the user profile and signing back on is a little more drastic, but generally fixes it. So if you see the problem on one user and you sign onto the machine with another user and it works just fine, well, then you know that there's a problem with that user profile. The interesting piece is most of the time those user profile problems are tied to challenges with third-party antivirus software interfering with the initial registration process on the app. So make sure you're up to date on your antivirus as well.
Would you recommend just like unloading it for the upgrade session? Unloading the antivirus?
I think that's a reasonable thing to do in general, because it'll probably improve the performance too.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah,
Our next
hi,
question.
guys. Hi. Two questions quickly. So one of the challenges we have for big organizations, you have legacy GPOs that Microsoft has left to the window to death, I guess, but still there. Now we have SCCM, which we like to be the source of truth, and Intune's coming in saying, I'm the big guy now. So GPOs have one policy, red, SCCM blue, Intune says red again, right? And typically GPO kind of wins at the end, typically. What we like to see, and I talked this to the SCCM team, was, okay, in SCCM or Intune, because I know no love is given to AD and group policies, is that you're the master. So if I tell you to do something, Windows, I don't care who told you from other settings, even if it's PowerShell or whatever the case, you are the ruler. Because one of the challenges we have deployment is, for example, bits. Some organizations throttle bits because of old ISDNs. By the time we figure this out, weeks, months could pass, but the tool's there. SCCM can do it. It's a fighting between the different policies. So I think, like if there's a way to flag SCCM or Intune to say, I'm the master of this policy, I don't care who else is coming in, that's going to help a lot, right?
Yeah, if you look at GPO versus config manager as the first case, config manager is generally just configuring the same GPO settings that GPO does. So last writer wins. If you are configuring the same thing from multiple sources GPO-wise, yeah, you're going to run into those challenges. So don't do that. Pick one. From the GPO versus...
Sorry, if I may, it's not a pick one, it's a legacy thing, right? So our organization, 60,000 plus, multiple AD, acquisitions coming left, leaving. So for us to go and troubleshoot with our SOP and figure out who's doing what is really challenging for the deployment team. So I know that's the easy answer, but what I'm saying is that you guys have the engineering foresight.
As someone who spent 15 years in IT, I'd say fix it.
To me, that's a bit of a cop-out because...
No, really. I spent 15 years in IT fixing those exact problems.
Then it goes back to, and I don't want to say this, goes back to the app in Candy Crush. I mean, the amount of time we spend on scripting, and the value for us is to push it out. The value is not for us to figure out why is the different tools that Microsoft's providing us. And you guys are doing a good job. I don't want to be a bitch section, but you guys can do a little bit better to say, here's the master. Because with Intune coming in, it's the mobility team that
so let's talk about the second piece separately, because that's a different conversation, the MDM versus GPO conversation. If you went to Hina's session earlier, she probably talked about that, but the change in Windows 10 1803 is there's a new policy where you can specify that MDM should take priority over all GPO settings. So you can configure to say, if you're configuring the settings via Intune, that those settings should always win. It's the other one that's problematic. If you have conflicting settings coming from GPO versus config manager, well, don't do that. Configure them in one or the other, but not in both. But MDM versus GPO, yeah, we've got you solved there, that you can configure them in Intune, set a single policy to say MDM should always win, and you're set.
Okay.
So if you really want to not solve the underlying problem with the GPO battle, you could just say, we're going to move to Intune and we're going to set them there, and Intune trumps everything.
Okay. So the second one quickly is that even though Edge is the browser and you have i11 for legacy, our users are still using Chrome. And part of the reason is that Edge is not being updated as fast as Chrome is as far as features and so forth. I know back in the past, you guys mentioned you're going to decouple Edge out of the OS. That kind of died down. But I think it would make Edge a little bit more up to date with some of the challenges the browser has if that was decoupled. So that's my last piece.
Feedback heard?
Thank you.
Somebody's voted for more frequent updates. Yeah, I like that.
New Windows 10 releases 6 times a year. You asked for it.
Let's get to our next question.
Hello. I know there's been some discussion on Twitter about using dynamic updates for the in-place upgrade files. It's primarily been MVPs and the community as a whole. But is this a Microsoft-supported thing at this point? And if so, is that ever going to be implemented into a Microsoft solution and not a PowerShell script off a blog? Which there's nothing wrong with that, but just, is that a thing that's recommended? And if it is it ever going to become a thing that we can utilize natively?
Yep. So definitely it is something that is recommended. Dynamic update is something that we do, and we want you to leverage that. We have a unified update platform now, so we know in the past it was hard for you to get this, and you had to go through hoops to actually get these different updates. With the unified update platform, we have combined all of it, so we do ensure that dynamic updates kind of come down to your machine as part of the upgrade process. We've also extended further to ensure that language packs and feature on demands are also updated as part of that process. So if you connect to Woo and OOFB, you get the UUP technology by default. You get it automatically, and it's been working, I think, since 1709. We are actually actively working on ensuring that this comes on-prem with WSUS and Config Manager. There is a preview coming in about a month that you should sign up for. It's a public preview, so you can start leveraging it for your on-prem services as well. But essentially, UUP is the way that we've actually addressed that problem, so you get all of these updates in one shot, and you don't have to jump through hoops.
That was our first acronym-free question. Woo! I love it. Next question.
Yeah, I'd like to ask the opinion of the panel on what I'll call dynamic driver updates. By that I mean using either WSUS or Windows Update for Business to update drivers dynamically as they're available in between feature updates. Whenever I've tried to do driver updates in the wild, it's always caused trouble. You update a display driver, you can test it to death. When you deploy it in the wild, you end up blue screening a load of machines because you don't know all the different configurations you've got out there in the wild. But with Windows 10 and more modern apps like Office being dependent on things like hardware acceleration, there's more pressure from customers to keep the drivers up to date. But I always see it as quite a difficult thing to do in a stable way. I just wondered what the panel's view was. Should I wait for kind of every 6 months and just update the drivers I need for the next version of Windows 10? Or should I be just letting WSUS and Windows Update for Business do what it wants and take the consequences?
So first we'll say, yes, you should update drivers and firmware on a much more frequent basis. As a general thing, if there's an update, you should assume that there's a reason for that and take it. To your concern in terms of our updates always 100% quality-wise, not from us, not from else, of course not. I would say that the tool that we're providing you to give you that visibility is analytics. It allows you to see what's going on with that driver in other cases, either internally or externally, and get assurance in terms of has that driver been improving situations. Example, device health will show you on a driver-by-driver, version-by-driver basis Are you seeing crashes improve with this particular version update, as you might expect? And you can compare that to make that as part of your decision to roll something out. So use the tools that are available, use the analytics, which gives you the visibility to the telemetry that we're getting, where you can see the status in terms of drivers that have already, versions of drivers that have already been made out available to other folks and been deployed, and what would result before you choose to roll that out.
Yeah, I just think because of the increased cadence of release of Windows 10 compared to previous OSs, there's more pressure on the vendors to keep those drivers up to date, and I can see that there's kind of issues in them perhaps not quite being able to do that.
There's two things that are driving that. One is we are updating Windows on a much more frequent basis, which by itself doesn't necessarily require or drive new drivers. It's changing your expectation around servicing in terms of if a machine's going to continue to get new functionality, it's going to continue to get updates for a longer period of time. Are you satisfied to have a driver update that only happens once or twice per machine and they quit fixing bugs on that? So your perception in terms of what you're expecting from drivers is changing. The other thing, which frankly is more important, is the amount of performance, the user expectation, the user experience on a device has moved out of Windows in many cases down into the drivers and the firmware to make things more productive and more performant. And the security surface has moved out of Windows into drivers and firmware. And so your need in terms of patching those things from a security point of view has also changed, which is why sticking on a driver for years and years because it was an original golden image, frankly, is not a good practice anymore. You need to assume you need to update drivers just from a security perspective.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. What are you using to deploy Windows 10 currently?
Currently using task sequences.
Okay,
in SC
so
frame.
so there is a community tool by SC Config Manager that has, they call it modern BIOS management and modern driver management, that allows you to create legacy packages. So you're bypassing, basically bloating your config manager database, but this is the way that you should be doing driver updates and BIOS updates. So you can create your own packages as well. So when a vendor pushes down an update, then you can push this out to your endpoints as well. So you can keep things up to date. You don't have to track things down in the wild. If the vendor has said you have to use this version of this driver and I have to get it out to 1,800 computers, there's now a more modern way to do it.
Yeah, the problem we're using WSUS to do it is it bloats the WSUS database when you pull the drivers in.
Right.
Which can cause issues, so that's not really a very good solution. So you've then got Windows Update for Business, but there may be other reasons why you can't use Windows Update for Business at the moment. So you're a little bit stuck and you're kind of reduced to create kind of individual driver packages and pushing them out as part of task sequences, which means quite a big integration effort every 6 months.
Yeah.
So trying to find a better way of doing it.
Yeah, check out the community tool because it says bypassing the database. These are just legacy packages.
As if you look at the Windows Update and Windows Update for Business, which are really the same thing with policies applied. The Microsoft is IT to the world in that case, where we have almost 700 million machines on Windows 10, and we are routinely updating drivers on all of those machines via Windows Update. Obviously, we would be getting lots of dissatisfied users if we were routinely causing problems doing that. So there's been a lot of work in making sure that that's as reliable as possible to keep the drivers up to date, to make sure that we can then deploy the feature updates reliably, and the battery life is being maintained, and blue screens are being eliminated, and lots of work that goes on with that. For most people, as soon as you move to WSUS, you don't even try that anymore. So it's certainly challenging to manage drivers at all through WSUS. Just out of curiosity, since we have a representative sampling of IT people in the room, how many of you have ever deployed an updated driver to an existing machine?
It's a large show of hands.
That's actually not too bad. Is that entirely because of Windows 10? Who had done that prior to Windows 10?
Huh?
Still, not too bad.
Let me ask you I think the real question. How many of you who've done that did that only because your user was experiencing blue screens that you were forced to go update the driver? That's what I expected.
So you didn't do it as a preventative
How many of you
measure.
would feel great if you were able to proactively update drivers on your machines because they were having user mode and kernel mode crashes that hadn't hit your support desk yet, and you could make their experience better? Yes. Windows Analytics and Device Health. I'm telling you, getting access and visibility to data and telemetry so they can tell you what's going on, being able to compare you probably will find you have 10 different versions of a Wi-Fi driver, and half of them are causing problems that you don't know about. And just by getting on the latest driver, your users all of a sudden have a much better connection experience. It's a wonderful thing.
The users that are afraid to pick up the phone and call the help desk will put up with blue screens once or twice or 3 times a week, but they'll curse at IT as a result. You need to fix that.
And there's an IT Showcase white paper that explains how we did that with an issue we had with Wi-Fi drivers. So you can see step by step how we did it.
John, you and I talked about the other day doing a blog post on the Windows tech community related to drivers. So it sounds like we need to get after it a little bit. All right. Did we have anything on Twitter that we want to bring up, Amy?
Yeah, we have a couple on Twitter. This one's for Michael Niehaus. Will provisioning packages support conditional access and company portal?
Will what support who?
Provisioning packages.
Will provisioning packages support?
Support conditional access and company portal.
Conditional access in the company portal. There's a lot packed into what sounds like such a simple question. So, conditional access is a capability built on top of Intune Azure Active Directory. The conditional access policies are tied to the user that was used to enroll the device. The provisioning package, if it's being used to enroll the device, has no user. Therefore, conditional access doesn't quite work in that scenario. So for conditional access to work properly, the user needs to enroll the device, not the provisioning package. Hence, why we use Autopilot. Because with Autopilot, we can have the device boot into Ubi. The user puts in their ID and password. That's used to enroll the device. Joined to Azure AD, which triggers the MDM enrollment. Everything belongs to the user. Conditional access, BitLocker recovery, and other things work properly.
Great.
And for my servicing friends, be nice to the servicing people, you guys. What's the deal with having multiple CUs per month for the last few months?
The multiple what?
Multiple cumulative updates for the last few months.
Well, I will deflect that question by saying we've always had multiple cumulative updates. Multiple of them, because many of them are optional or there for your preview. The reality is, we send out Patch Tuesday. We have customers who find conflicts for various different reasons, or we regress something ourselves, and so we very quickly turn out a fix and re-release the patch or release another update to unblock those folks, which is what happens. I think our track over 3 years is that's rare. We had a spat this summer where there was more months than we would care to have, where we had to do a couple of re-releases. But that's why. When we have, unlike in the past when we had issues, we issued a private fix. Since they're all individual fixes, that private fix went to an individual, and you would just worry about that fix alone. With Windows 10, we want to keep people on a common code base. Makes everything better for us in terms of debugging and improving the quality. So when we have an issue, we simply roll forward. We fall forward quickly and reissue a new update that basically has that fix. We document that, and largely that means if you installed Patch Tuesday and it worked fine for you, you don't need to worry about the re-release of it because you're going to pick it up in the next month. If it does have an issue that describes like it could impact you, then you install the next release. The C or the D release that we talk about that comes out the third week is a preview. It's a cumulative update, but it includes the fixes that are targeted to come out in the next Patch Tuesday or the following month. And we make that available to you simply if you want to have a preview and you can deploy on some machines to get early access to those fixes. It's optional. Those will all be included in the next Patch Tuesday. You can either use them. Certainly you don't need to deploy that on all the machines. If you get the Patch Tuesday, the following Patch Tuesday will have those.
Thanks, John. Sir?
Hi. I have one question for the config manager. So in my company, we are using SCCM 1806 for Windows 10 deployment application management. And currently, we are facing a lot of issues that the application detection mode is not working when you have for one application multiple deployments in place, and there a combination of machine-based and user-based deployments. So let's give me a short example. We have an application, global rollout, multiple phases. In the first phase, I want to create a collection based on hardware inventory information. I need a machine-based device collection, machine-based deployment. Afterwards, at the end of the day, the application is released globally to all users. and then the detection mode on the local client is not working. This means for the user we have there two effects. The first point, if you start the software center, the installation status is wrong of the application, but the dirty thing is, besides this cosmetical effect, also rollouts, supersedence, mandatory pushes are not working. And there we have really a lot of complaints already from our employees, and especially in the manufacturer area, because we cannot ensure that when we start a supersedence or a mandatory push, that all clients will be touched, that should be touched. So my question, are you aware about this situation? Because we already opened the case a few months ago. We also created a user voice entry, but I have no feedback so far. So,
yeah, just to be clear, the user voice is for feature requests, and you'll get feedback when the feature request has been accepted and they're starting to work on it. So don't use that for bug fixes and bug reports. It's not real time enough. The issue that you're describing otherwise, if you're not getting traction on the support case, yeah, you should let us know. But it does sound like that's a good thing to handle through support, that the detection scripts, the detection mechanisms that you're using should work. If they would, then all your problems would disappear.
This would also lead to my second question, because as I read in the release notes for 18.10 that will be released, that there will be a major change for the software center, that the combination of user and machine-based deployments is there implemented, and additionally the application catalog is not longer available. So the role application catalog will be released with 18.10, and there's my question, is there any change how deployments are stored on a local client? Because the main issue we have is we have to use user-based deployments, because the amount of machine-based deployments that can be stored in the WMI is restricted. So if you have more than 220 deployments, machine-based, that can lead that the agent is not longer stable. So this was also a recommendation in the past from your support guys, that we should do the switch there to user-based deployments, because otherwise we cannot ensure that the SSM agent is stable. So we need this combination, and I have no solution. This is the
Dune from the product team told me to tell you to go to Hyatt Regency Room 10.
Dune's there at the mic.
But I also got the mic.
Okay.
Because it got more complicated. The application catalog roles might have gone away, but the functionality that they had done, other than the UI itself, the website, is still there. It's now effectively built into the management point. So you can still do user available targeting, and the way that it works is still the same way it worked before. So device targeted applications are stored in local WMI on the client, which is why you're getting all bogged down on the client when you do too many device deployments. You know, that won't happen unless you're doing a truly large number of device deployments, but it does happen. The great thing about user available deployments is that they're not needed to be in WMI until the intent by the user is demonstrated that they need to be there. So policy for those doesn't need to go down. Lives in the out catalog roles, which haven't gone away, just the website.
Okay.
Does that help a little bit?
Not really. I have no solution. No idea what I should do.
Meet in the back. Find Dune after the session.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. All right, next question, sir.
All right, so this is going to be a couple questions, and part of it's config manager related. So the first one is actually the quality of quality updates. One of the challenges, one of the interesting things I've understood is the AHA solution that's forthcoming, but I didn't hear any information that indicated that it would also apply to using that same data to determine if a quality update should or should not apply to some machines because of the components that are updated relative to what is already known in terms of what's running on the respective machine. Are there any plans of utilizing the AHA functionality as it relates to quality updates to be able to say, hey, you know what, even though we're using the deployment plans, you've gone through the scattering of machines that are applied, these X number of machines should not get this update until you do X, Y, Z first.
So I don't know that we had these plans. I like how you elaborated on the idea, so I'll talk to the AHA team. If there's anyone from the team here, I don't think they are here, but I'll relay that to them. I find the idea interesting, but we don't have actual plans to do it right now.
Okay, okay. In similar logic in terms of the actual update, feature update, as well as the quality update. Quality updates being more challenging due to the frequency. And thus, and we move on to the next question. With regard to configuration manager, one of the challenges that I've seen within users is understanding the different things that are being applied to the machine. Are there any plans or expectations of being able to more customize or more so differentiate the dialog boxes from config manager when updates or deployments are being applied to a machine? That is confusing as all get out to users.
So is the request that you want to be able to customize it more yourself?
Preferably, whether it is more distinction defined by the config manager team, where it is as differentiated as possible, or our ability to customize it further would be great. While there are portions of text that can be customized, the overall dialog box is similar enough whereby being able to differentiate it, being a layman, is proving impossible. You're up.
So what would you change? Because if we can get everybody in the room to agree what we should change, then we can change it.
Dude, I'll whiteboard it right now. I mean, I'm ready. Okay. All right, so the more dominant areas of text, I mean, look at it from a graphic design standpoint, from a visual design standpoint, the more dominant areas of text in terms of the major heading is what I would start with changing. That text, we don't really have control over. We have control over the text right beneath it. I'd also like to change the colors of them so we can have some other distinction there. Those two areas, in addition to the customized text we're already able to change, should be sufficient enough to distinguish between an update, a patch update, a software distribution, etc. That plus the SC notify and the taskbar could come together, be a more coherent, a more comprehensive picture of the user understanding the differences, and it helps with our communication strategy to the organization because our documentation is different enough so they know what they're getting.
Awesome. Can I get a temperature check from the room, how that feels? Woo! Wow. Cool. Okay, great. Come find me at the booth later and we'll talk.
Warmly received.
Wait.
Oh, and comment?
Just, I want to help with the spec. What's your name?
Eric Jones.
This is the Eric feature.
I'll expect some release notes references.
There you go.
And my last question is easy. When do I get 1810? Soon. What? Come on. He said soon. Thank you so much. This has been a great session and great information.
Great. Thank you.
Next question over here.
Hey, thank you guys for making yourself available. Appreciate it. So we had an issue with 1703 machines automatically updating to 1709. We have Windows 10 Enterprise in our environment. So we put in a tech ticket and we called the support and made sure all our configurations were set to defer the updates, give our application teams time to do their testing. But it didn't really break anything, so it wasn't that big of a deal. And then 1803 update, I think, came out in April. Is that right?
Yes.
Well, our Windows 10 Enterprise machines started getting it in May. And unfortunately, it was incompatible with our hard disk encryption software, which was admittedly a little out of date, which caused all kinds of blue screens and bricked machines. So I just wanted to kind of check and see, was that an issue that you guys were aware of? Is there anything else strategy-wise that we should do to prevent these Windows features updates from being applied to our machines before our app teams have been able to test our admittedly old software?
You mentioned your deferral period. Are you using WolfBeat?
Am I using WolfBeat?
Windows Update for
Windows
Business?
Update for Business?
Oh, no, we're using a product called Avanti to push out our security patch updates, including the Windows feature updates. The Windows, I think we're on the semi-annual business channel, so it should be deferring it. So usually we push it out to the machines before they would go out and update themselves.
So on those machines, if you went into the settings and clicked on check for updates, would it be able to get updates from Windows Update?
No, we have a group policy to disable that feature. So our
You
users
disable
can't
the UI.
accidentally shoot themselves.
So I don't know the specific of that first part. If the device was updated automatically, that means the device was still configured to look to Windows Update service. And so I targeted your device rather than if you configure the SSM or your other tools to not have that access or to use a different agent. So I'd have to know if somebody said they looked at it and said they had it configured properly, those two things don't jive because the device was still looking to Windows Update as the agent to tell me, do you have an update?
Which is exactly what's prompting my question.
Correct.
Dual scan?
Yeah, I mean, when you throw in Avanti, the dual scan item disappears, so that's why we filtered that one out already.
Got to hear the whole question. That's why I asked in terms of what you're using for managing it. So why don't you pop up afterwards, and I'll follow up with you on it.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it, guys.
Sure.
All right.
The reason I asked to be clear, I will never update a machine that I'm not asked to update a machine. And so when that occurs, it can be that you've either got dual scan improperly set up, and so I'm seeing it, a device is doing that, or, and I see this all the time, you think you've done something, but the device is still connected to Windows Update, and you haven't taken control of deciding when the device is going to get the update. You own the device, you have the complete control in terms of never updating the device. I will not update the device unless it's configured to come talk to Windows Update Service.
Thanks, John. Next question.
Okay, perfect segue. Because with the 30-month extension on the September updates, and then deferral policies being 365 days right now, the question, I've heard rumors that in the future, enterprise SKUs and possibly education SKUs will have the ability to just say, do not land a feature update on my system. I manage those entirely. I don't know if that's something you guys have been working on.
No, I just said that. You have that today. I never will update a device unless you've asked me to by configuring it to Windows Update, which they come by default. By default, all the SKUs use Windows Update Service. Once you take them and you configure them, you can leave a device forever, and I will never update it.
Okay. We've had multiple scenarios over the course of the last 2 years where things have, and we've had cases open. I could take it with you offline too, but perfect. Second question, really quick. This is more related to task sequences in place upgrades. So getting that WIM to an ideal size, having the CU in there, making sure it's fully up to date. It's a common Twitter conversation, it seems like, lately. But one thing in there is like removing the indexes and just leaving the enterprise SKU in there to help reduce further the size of the WIM. See a lot of blog posts on instructions for doing that. But we've specifically ran into 2 cases, one with updating shared PCs and another one with turning on dynamic updates in SCCM, where the response from the escalation engineers is removing these indexes is not supported, and they will not move the case forward until we get a vanilla version of the WIM and use that for servicing. Curious what your thoughts are there.
Anyone want to touch that one?
I can try, and then maybe Sudha can help.
Thank you, Suma.
Yes. I think one of the things we do recommend, I think we probably have to dig into why you're trying to kind of use the imaging-based update. One of the things we do recommend is to just leverage the servicing flow for the updates. You get all of the benefits that we've done with UUP and ensuring that we get the right content for you based on what's on the machine. We ensure the experience is better with all of the offline time improvements. So that's really what we actually recommend you do, so that experience is seamless and smooth. In terms of specifically the indexes, I don't think I know the answer to that. Maybe Sudha can kind of help out.
Yeah, so exporting the specific image index that you care about and using that WIM instead of the one that we ship in the ISO is totally supported scenario. There is no problem with it. There are cases where, if there are cases where the escalation engineers say there's a problem, we can probably point to the documentation that we do have that says that export is a supported option. So that will help you get unblocked. There's probably other things we can do to reduce the WIM size. We'll probably work on better documentation so you can use that for your scenarios.
Perfect. Okay, I might have to go after you. We tried finding, all I could find were blog posts, people discussing how to make that happen, but I never found an actual article that said, a blog post from Microsoft that said remove these indexes.
Yeah, the other part of it is updating the images to keep it up to date with all of the quality updates. I know it's something that you guys are doing. It is an expensive process. And there are gotchas that you have to deal with when you do that, because you do inadvertently bloat the size of the image when you add the quality updates in there. So when in doubt, if there's an updated image that we publish that's available, use that, because we've taken care of all of the things to keep it as small as possible. And we are working on making that more frequent, so you don't have to do it yourself at all. So look for updates on that.
We do it twice a release now. We are working on making that better as well.
Yeah, related to that, if we had ISOs available every month with the latest CU integrated, would you guys download them?
Yeah. Keep your hands up. I need a picture. I go on that meeting every month, and people say, no, don't really need it.
Well established.
We should do this for more features. So
The other point is that the servicing flow that Suma referred to already gives you that. So if you're
Yes.
using the servicing flow, you are already getting the up-to-date media, you're already getting all the dynamic updates built in, you get all of that for free. So when you can, use the servicing flow.
Yeah, and we preserve language packs has been a big issue. Anyone I talk to, they bring that up. So we ensure we retain that. We ensure we retain the optional content. So we've made sure all of those issues are addressed by default. So we do recommend you use the servicing flow so you make benefit of everything that we have done over the last 2 releases.
So just on those ISOs, by the way, as a comment, I've had to set up an MSDN account to get an ISO before it's available on BLSC.
So that is a known issue that we are going to start fixing with the next release that is about to come out.
Thank you, Bruno.
Thank you for the voice on that. It took a few meetings, but we finally got to a point where we'll get that done. And if this time around it slips 2 or 3 days, that's all that it will slip.
I just need a refund for $2,500.
It's bruno.noack. Thank you, guys, and thank you, Suda, for the help on that as well. Next question.
How you doing? We're interested in autopilot, but at our larger offices, we do not order PCs and have them shipped directly to our users' offices. They come into IT, there's a quality check, sometimes an asset assignment. So we were really interested when we heard the announcement of autopilot white glove, and we wanted to know if that was something that was going to be available for IT departments to take advantage of.
Michael?
Yeah, I mean, the expectation is that it could be done by anyone. The basic scenario is that we want to take the provisioning process and slice it in half. The half of it is done by a technician, whether that's an IT technician, a service partner, a distributor, a reseller, or an OEM, doesn't really matter. But that first part really just needs someone to unbox the machine, put it on a desk, plug it in, connect a network to it, and let it sit for potentially hours while it configures itself. When the process is done, shut it back down, put it in the box, send it on to the end user or whoever else is going to hand them out to the eventual end user. So that's the goal. Certainly, we know that today a lot of that's done, and it's done by IT, not by external partners. We think external partners are probably better at it because that's all they do. I mean, they have people who unbox, put it on the desk, wait, box it back up, ship it back out again. They're going to be more efficient at it. But if IT wants to do that or has the scale of new device deployments to make that worthwhile, then by all means, IT can do that as well.
Great, thank you.
All right, Mr. ISO, question.
Yeah, so just kind of a 2-part really quick. We actually have a PFE who's coming on Monday to help us get everything set up. We've been on a third-party solution for several years, so we're setting up Config Manager, going through Intune, Azure AD, all of that process beginning next week. One of the things that we run into, which is a little bit of a concern that we want to understand, and that is over the past several years, we've been using the OEM to help us do a light touch, as was presented in Chicago several years ago. So we created our own provisioning package. They add it on top of their image. They ship it out. Our users launch. It's pre-run, all done. The thing we run into is that the answer file did not have a setting to allow the OEM to establish that device as a corporate-owned device. And so when we go into Intune, all of those devices that we've done workplace join on all show up as personal. We then have a whole bunch of other devices where users have installed their Office 365 at home, and that device shows up as personal. So about 10% of our devices are corporate-owned. Those are the ones who the user actually went through Ubi, marked it as corporate-owned, and now it shows up in Azure as corporate-owned. So what we're trying to figure out is how do we, one, identify the value that Ubi changes so that when that device shows up in Azure, it's actually corporate-owned, and how do we fix the problem? Because we'd like to use conditional access. The end result is we want to use conditional access to treat a corporate device like a corporate device and a personal device like a personal device. That's our end result.
I have no idea.
So we live about 5 miles from the Intune development team. They don't know either. So we have a problem where nobody knows what value Ubi sets to identify the device as corporate or personal. We need to know that.
Yeah, so Obviously, in the autopilot case and in the Ubi case,
Which we'll roll out, and that will solve it for the future, but we have 20,000 devices in Azure AD today.
where I was going was that we're able to communicate that to Intune and establish the account in an appropriate way.
Right.
It sounds like that's not happening for the provisioning package route. We can investigate why that's happening. Sounds like you're probably by the Cambridge office of the Intune guys.
Lehigh, Utah.
Lehigh, Utah. So you should be closer to the Redmond Intune office and talk to that crowd instead.
Okay.
But they are here, and we can have a conversation with them and see what's going on in that case.
But we went through every single line item in the answer in the configuration items in Ubi, and there's nothing there to say personal or corporate anymore.
Yeah, which doesn't completely surprise me, but at the same time, yeah, we should be able to provide a way to do that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Sir?
Hi. This is an in-place upgrade question. I don't know if I'm doing this right. Maybe you or someone else can tell me. In my company, we do a lot of customization for our default Windows 10 build. Currently we're on 1703, and just testing out the in-place upgrade to like a higher one, 1709, 1803. I find that once we do it via OSD task sequence, a lot of the out-of-box stuff comes back, like OEM wallpaper, start tile layout, and consumer apps. I mean, I have scripts that would be able to remove them all and reapply them all, but is there an option or will be an option to exclude that from in-place upgrades?
What build are you starting from?
1703.
17, at least the apps was fixed in 1709.
1709.
The app stuff is fixed in 1709, so it will not come back when you actually do the in-place upgrade.
Yeah,
The other thing we do...
So you'll end up going through one more upgrade when they come back and you had to remove them, but after that, then they won't come back.
You'll be able, it'll be solved.
We were bad. 1703, we respected user changes. 1709, we respect your changes. This is the same issue we talked about earlier.
When you go from 1709 to 1803 or 1809, then yes, we will respect that, and that issue has now been fixed.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right. Next question.
Hello. Thank you for all what you are doing and always pushing the limits. Really appreciate. I have a two-part question about language pack. One is for the traditional deployment. What do you recommend? Is it installing it offline or online? Because you know that the behavior is not the same when you do servicing. And the second one is the question about autopilot and how to install different language pack.
Yeah, let me take the language pack one, and I'll redirect the autopilot to Nihas. So, I mean, in terms of the language pack, and we covered it in, I think, a couple of sessions this week, there's really kind of 4 best practices. As I said, I keep repeating it: leverage the servicing flow, leverage unified update platform, and your problems will be solved, because we have made sure we do retain the language packs as part of that flow. We ensure that it is carried over. If you're not able to, because if you're doing an on-prem server like Config Manager or WSUS, then you have to kind of get on the public preview. And if you don't want to, for now, we've actually enabled the group policy, so you can actually go download those language packs from Woo. So you can set the group policy, so it'll actually go bring the language packs down as part of the upgrade process. So if that's not an option for the time being, you can include the language packs in the images, so that's what we recommend. You can either, I mean, if there are not too many language packs, then of course that causes bloat. The other option is to use the task sequence to actually selectively install the language packs that you want. So that's kind of the best practice that we recommend. And as I said, as soon as possible, if you can get on the servicing flow, leverage UUP, that problem will be solved automatically for you.
And if you were asking more from an imaging perspective, like you're building an image and want to know, do I install language packs in the image or wait and install them after? Yeah. It all really depends more on what you want the default language of the OS to be. If you want the default language to be one of these language packs that you haven't yet installed, then you must do it offline. Otherwise, it doesn't really matter. You can install the language pack offline or online, and it will have the same effect.
Yeah, but behavior is not the same after when you do servicing. If the default one is, for example, French, this is the French feature update that will apply. So finally, you will have an operating system full French, losing the English one, and it's why I.
Yeah, and that's kind of another best practice that if you're doing media-based upgrades and even non-media until you get to UUP, the base language really matters. So only have one worldwide and add language packs on top of that because the language has to match.
Yeah, there is a trick when you can come back to the old one and making the upgrade using only the English DVD and English ISO and pushing again the language pack. But
yeah,
there is always a solution, but I just want to
rebooting the machine into Windows PE to change the system language to then boot back into the OS to upgrade the OS is kind of a hacky way of doing things.
Okay.
All right, next question.
We'll go to
and for the modern deployment, sorry?
To the quick round.
About autopilot, how do you choose and how do you, are you able to choose another language at the first wizard? Is the OEM should give a multi-language OEM image, or is there another way to do that?
In the language, in the autopilot case, the device is going to ask the user what language they want. Standard UBI question at that point. If the OEM includes only one language, well, it's selected by default and it goes on to ask you for your region. If the OEM includes 5 languages, and it's going to ask you to pick between those 5 languages. Okay. So it is up to the OEM to preload any language that you want a user to be able to select. Generally, they should provide that as an option. In a lot of the US purchased devices, they'll just ship US English, but in other countries, they will include multiple languages by default. But you should be able to request an international image that contains as many languages as you need.
Thank you very much.
All right, we have just a little bit of time left. Let's take a couple more questions and then.
Quick answer. Quick question, quick answer.
All right, I've got a two-parter. It's going to be quick.
Yeah, we'll give it.
Yep. Okay, so number one is a request. The error messages that are surfaced in Blue Box log, for instance, during an in-place upgrade, the request is getting more meaningful meat out of that due to the it's funny, but the implications to M365 analytics or desktop analytics, it gets a lot more meaningful for that product when those status messages or the logs are more meaningful so that the administrator can see it wasn't really the user wasn't present at the machine or the user declined the update. There was really something deep that went on here for these 37, 40, 100 cases. So it's a big ask.
Okay. Yep, and we have a solution for that already. We introduced this tool called Setup Diag. You can go download it. You can actually run it against a machine which has failed an upgrade or run it offline against a set of logs. And it's going to be able to tell you what those errors mean, what's the reason we failed the upgrade, and what is a possible recommendation for you to help fix the problem.
It's inclusion with M365.
Yes, so that is definitely something that we are actively working on to make that available on the deployment status section of M365, so definitely submit it through the feedback, but we are actively working on making that available there and having a better integration with analytics.
Thank you. Question, very fast. It was around the autopilot session where you had a customer, it was a gold star case. I want to ship my device to my end user, run through autopilot. In their case, it did ship direct to the user and was hybrid joined. What wasn't very clear, was there a VPN connection dialed? Was there, I heard line of sight to your AD infrastructure, but it wasn't clear.
Michael?
How can I answer that question? The scenarios that you're describing are mutually exclusive, effectively. Our intention for Windows 10 1809 is to support the hybrid Azure AD join, which really means Active Directory join, for machines that are on the corporate network that can see a domain controller. Now, the other part of it, the fact that the customer mentioned that they could do something else, pretend you didn't hear that.
Okay, thank you. That cleared up a lot, so I really appreciate it.
Great. Next question.
Yeah, 2 minutes left, and I'm going to open a can of worms. All right. So I'd like to get beyond all of this. I've been in Windows forever. This is the first time we've ever had competition in the world. You guys might have seen it. The Chromebook, don't laugh, right? I want to see a world in the future when we're not updating everything and kernels and OSs don't matter. So I guess my question to you guys is just if any one of you have an opinion, when you see a Chromebook advertisement, what are you thinking?
I think that was a seeded question from the competition. Does anyone want to take that one?
Is this session being recorded?
Any thoughts?
We're going to turn off our mics and...
We can sub
That's a fair question.
I'm more than happy to have that conversation just in terms of respecting the people who are here. Let's have that afterwards.
Afterwards, yeah.
So if there's a question that we can solve, we'll do that, but stay up afterwards and we'll talk. We talk about that all the time.
All right. Uh-oh, here he comes.
Yeah, just to emphasize, a world beyond Windows 10, 11, 12, where we don't have to keep, where the OS, patching at all time doesn't become significant. A world of, running everything in a browser, like I say, millennials like to be in Gmail. My daughter likes to be in Gmail, and just having that kind of maybe two paths, a path of Windows 10 that's like that Chromebook, and then something where we try to satisfy everybody in the world. Every piece of hardware, every vendor, everything like that. So maybe that's a better question.
We share some of your vision.
Thank you. We have time for one more question.
Windows S.
So I guess this is more of a feature request. Inside of the application packaging functionality, we usually have a step inside of that allows us to silently install it if the machine is not logged into, and then we have to do a separate deployment that is interactive install whenever the user is logged into it. I was just wondering if within the application deployment, if we can have a section that says if user's logged in, run this command, if user's not logged in, run this command.
Was this specifically for Config Manager?
Yes.
There's another good user voice item. Not available today. I'm not sure if that one's on the list. I don't know where Dune went, but
yeah, I was looking for him and he's got it out.
But yeah, follow up afterwards and submit it via user voice if you haven't already. Configurationmanager.uservoice.com. You can apply up to 3 votes per email address for the idea to keep pushing it up the list. If you're smart, you use someone like Amy or I to amplify your idea via Twitter, and we can get a couple hundred votes pretty quickly. We like gaming the system.
Yeah, is it okay if I ask one more? Sorry. CM Pilot or CM Pivot is real-time, I guess the expansion into real-time monitoring within, is there any collaboration that's going to happen between desktop analytics and CM Pivot that allows us to see real-time analytics within the console?
I guess I can take that one. We don't have that, but we hear you loud and clear on real time. That's as far as I can say right now.
Okay, thank you.
All right, before we adjourn, question to the panel, do any of you have any additional sessions this week you're aware of? I think, John, you have a couple left.
Not that he knows of.
Stump the panel.
There's a session in this room right after on Windows 10 deployment. The Config Manager product team also has a session, conflicting time in Hyatt, somewhere over in the Hyatt. So look on your schedule. And then I also have an Ask Me Anything, same thing, tomorrow.
Okay.
There's Windows Analytics and Desktop Analytics tomorrow morning. Zach Dvorak is the speaker.
Okay. A number of us will be manning the booths at the expo. There's a servicing booth that I encourage you to stop by there. Either ourselves or our colleagues will be there. Otherwise, I want to thank everybody for joining today. Cheers.